great to see everyone. I guess I can't see you directly, but it's good to be here. So quick introduction. I'm a solution engineer at Relevance. I've been with Relevance for just about a year now, and actually started out as a customer who did not know anything about agents and self-taught his way up into this position. So obviously the community here that we're building is a lot of like self-learning, self-teaching, and I just want to bring that kind of attitude here, is that there's always great places to start, and I'm going to show you some pretty cool chat stuff today. So yeah, why don't I dive right in? I think the first question before I begin screen sharing, and it's almost a rhetorical one, is I'm assuming you as an audience know about Relevance, know what we do as a platform, know how an agent works, and know kind of the premise of how an agent behaves and automates and performs its function. If anyone does not, I would love to hear some kind of understanding of what you think an agent is, so I can kind of jump from there.
Comfortable with at least 60-70% of the audience. There's some AI Ops Bootcamp people and some customers. So right. I'm gonna. The silence is not ignorance. I'm gonna say Reich's typing, but I know he knows. He knows.
Sounds good. Yeah. No, testing the waters here. So,
Andy, they're all here. Reich's good with agents. I'd be worried if he wasn't. But again, it's a safe space. So Andy, if you got no clue, all good too. Oh, but he's good. He's good. Okay. Of course, nice.
Yeah, let's dive right into it. So why don't I begin sharing here, and I'm going to get a screen share infinite window for a sec. Cool. Yeah, so we're all kind of familiar with how agents work, right? I want to show this inbound use case, for example, right? So I removed all the company logic here, but essentially this is what a standard SOP looks like. And if you notice, this SOP is actually kind of quite linear. So the first thing it does, step one, it does some research in Salesforce. Maybe it returns campaigns, returns some information about a lead, then goes for their LinkedIn, then extracts some website information, then goes after some Google searching. Then it'll extract, essentially these are very heavyweight tools. And this agent is not so dynamic in the sense that when the agent runs best, it runs according to its steps. This is kind of one version of an agent that we have internally, where it provides a lot of automated value, but is not actually one that is really made for chat. And we'll get into chat in just a little bit, but I wanted to just kind of go over the philosophy of how agent design works. So essentially, right, a lot of SOP, a lot of logic, stuff that would handle specific bits of information, but maybe if I were to ask it, to just do the Google searching, it would kind of get a little confused and it would say, okay, wait, but I'm an inbound agent. I should be doing more than this. And part of the difference with what I want to emphasize is that when you build agents for chat, when you build different kinds of agents for different things, they have kind of this procedural weight to them, right? So in this case, the weight of this agent is quite heavy. So for those of you that are familiar or less familiar with chat, I want to take you on a quick demo here. And I'm just going to grab, this one here from a previous demo, because this one worked well to explain things. So is there anyone here that has never seen chat and has no idea what I'm showing you?
Oh, that's a good question. I definitely know that in my AI Ops course, I did not talk about chat at all because it was just sort of new to beta. And from a product comms perspective, that's part of my day job. We've done a little bit of light comms on it. So I think that's a fair question. So if people have never played with it, no problems. Mm-hmm. David's saying it's great. So he's he's using it.
Yeah, we got some fans. That's good.
So we might make an assumption that it's like 50-50 or so.
Yeah, that's probably a good assumption here. So the way that chat works is it allows you to call upon your agents at will in an environment where you can actually call on multiple agents at the same time in the same task, right? What I showed you here, for example, this is just one agent that will run whenever an inbound lead comes in from a CRM, right? While it runs very well, it also runs very tightly, very specifically engineered. But chat allows you to do many things in one environment. So I'm going to start off by saying, by kind of going through this demo here, and I'm going to tag my agent menu sales researcher. And we'll go into this one in a little bit. But essentially, this agent menu sales researcher, its primary responsibility is to find use cases depending on a deal. So what we're going to do is we're going to send it away. And I think also part of the fun part about chat is that you actually don't need to tag any of the agents right here. It just allows you to interact with LLM models in an LLM terminal just outright. But then if you need to tag an agent that does a very bespoke process within your system, you have it at your disposal. So for example, this agent will kind of go through its motions here. Roche is our head of sales at Relevance AI, so I'm using him for this demo here, but we also have, some more information. So it's asking, yeah, sure, we'll run a standard pass. Yeah, standard pass, or I should say abbreviated pass. Keep it quick. So essentially he's going back and forth with this agent through an orchestrator kind of proxy. And you can see that the agent is actually executing steps that are innate to it. So what's actually happening is in this kind of sequence, this chat orchestrator is calling upon this agent to say, okay, we're responding to user requests, and we're going to basically interpret what the user is saying, do something with it, return it back. Very much like a chat GPT or a Claude terminal here, but with your agents now.
Just a clarification, at the start, you just said that you didn't have to @ your agent, but you did @ the agent. Did I miss something there?
Yeah, correct. So I guess the clarification here is if I want to do like tell me about Relevance AI, I don't have to @ any agent, and it essentially just uses an innate model without calling any agents, right? So it's just searching the web, it's pulling a bunch of links. If you do want to call an agent, if you do want to use it, you do have to @ it currently.
Gotcha. My brain was always like, of course I'm going to @ it because I need to use that agent to do that task to tell me about that deal. Okay, yeah. Gotcha.
And we've seen some feedback so far about maybe I want to use my agent without adding it specifically. But at the same time, the premise of what I'm about to show you is how to design these agents. And you're going to want to design them as if you were to @ them, primarily because they do very specific things, right? You want to make sure that your agents are doing the right things at the right times, and you don't want to mistakenly call on an agent. One of the big reasons that we see, or one of the big kind of plus sides that we see from chat now, is we see a lot of organizations making agents that are very lightweight and that are being deployed org-wide so that all of their users can use chat, and they don't have to worry about, an agent that will accidentally send an email and go through a whole inbound process, right? They just want to have agents that do very simple things, but you can combine them together. But either way, let's go back to this demo here, or this task. Cool. Nice. So we see quite a lot of quotes. This is a lot from our knowledge base and also what the agent was able to find. But let's just see, what if you're a BDR and you're about to walk into a call with Roche and you want to see who else works at Relevance AI that you could potentially loop into the conversation or get some more information about Relevance AI. And you don't want to do that just through Google. What about maybe using Apollo? And this is kind of where chat really kind of flexes its procedural muscles here, where you can start tagging other agents and say, Apollo, can you source some more contacts from Relevance AI, please? And this Apollo MRP is an agent that we made internally that basically connects to our Apollo and uses the Apollo API to enrich contacts from whichever company you request. And you'll notice that now the context switches, right? We had the agent sales researcher say, okay, we're now researching this topic. And now we're kind of diving into the Apollo piece here. And maybe this is actually a good time to see what this sales researcher looks like. So this is how you can imagine once the Apollo, I'll show you kind of the end state of this run. But when we dive into it, we're going to cover how this agent really operates to its maximum capacity, right? So if you take a look at the prompt, there actually is no step-by-step, really. Everything that this agent is given as a directive is more in terms of guidelines to how it should do things versus like an instruction set for what it needs to do, right? So it's more of a guideline, right? We have don't mention this, present clear actions, emphasis and clarity, right? And then we have the tools that it can call. And notice also here that it has 8 research tools, none of which are given in order. So essentially, this agent sales researcher is calling these tools as needed, whereas maybe an agent like this, the inbound agent, which would not be used in chat, would primarily be one that was just triggered from Salesforce and from an automation, and you never see this run until it shows up in your Salesforce or in your inbox when a prospect replies, right? So that's kind of the big difference here that we're gonna learn about today, is how do you kind of develop these agents that are very agnostic to the task, and how lightweight do you need to make them, right?
And you mean lightweight in the sense of because you care about broad adoption and flexibility of that, not just lightweight as a synonym for being, I don't know, as opposed to being more deterministic and like, this is your job, agent, you must do this, as opposed to I'm just onboarding you and I'm just giving you your tools. These are some of the things that you might encounter, and you're going to be very kind of flexible, but still have some boundaries.
Exactly. That's a great question. When I say lightweight, I guess I mean procedurally lightweight. So procedurally, at least procedurally and deterministically. And for those that have never heard that word deterministic before, deterministic means that you have a clear set of 1, 2, 3 sequential instructions, if-then statements, right? Versus this agent that is non-deterministic and highly capable of, knowing when to do things without you previously defining it or telling it to do things. Procedurally, this agent is actually pretty lightweight. While the prompt is big, the agent actually has a lot of flexibility and can do things very dynamically to navigate this prompt. If that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, thank you. That's a very key insight. Yeah.
So let's keep looking here. I don't know who Marcus Taylor is, to be honest. But we have Dan Vass, Jackie Coe, we have Roche, and then we have some people who wish to have their initials.
They're real people. Yeah, that's Scott. That's Inga. Yeah. That's James Orton. Yeah, that's Roche. So like
real people. I find it funny that Apollo just does not show them. But either way, right? So notice how this tool here, it really just found out what we needed from the web. Essentially, it actually didn't even need to use Apollo, but let's say like, can we surface JO's email using Apollo, please? So notice how I also, at this point, don't really need to reference the @agent Apollo anymore, because now the agent is part of the conversation, right? So I kind of brought it in as an assistant, like, hey, need some help? Please find this.
However, if we switch then to another agent, would we have to then add it to bring it back?
That's a great question. If we bring in another agent, we actually can go back to the Apollo one without having to add it at all, right?
Okay, nice.
James Orton, the data man. Nice. Seems like his email. Seems like his email is hidden. But essentially, what this shows is that the Apollo, it used the API here. And let's take a look at what this agent actually did for the input. Now, this may look a little scary, but what we're seeing here is that we're seeing that this organization is Relevance AI. It's hitting this endpoint, which allows for a search of people. And it also includes the head of customer title that James holds. So essentially, in this, we didn't tell the agent you have to look. We didn't tell the agent in its prompt you have to look for the head of customer. You have to look at this specific endpoint that and use this specific parameter for this specific domain. The agent actually kind of knows this. And the real tool that we use for this is if we go into the Apollo MRP and we go to the run, we see that right here, we're just using an Apollo API. And the agent actually just kind of hits it right here without, but let's take a look at the instructions here for the agent as well. And this is also a procedurally lightweight agent. Essentially, you're an intelligent, precise agent. Your mission is to just translate natural language requests into an efficient and accurate API calls. So the tools, it literally only has two of them. One is to search the web, see what you can find. If not, use Apollo, right? The only means of interacting with an external system. All data retrieval and actions are performed exclusively through the tool. So what we have here at the end is API documentation, right? So what makes this agent function so well on top of these tools is that we gave the agent a lot of documentation. So we said, here's a practical guide to using the API. And then our team, painstakingly, a little bit, essentially grabbed all of the API documentation for Apollo and just put it in right here. So now the agent is trained up on everything Apollo, and this agent now is optimized very nicely for chat. Because whenever we need to use Apollo, it knows exactly what we're going to do with it at any given time.
Got a question from Kyle. Mm-hmm. Imagine a world where you didn't at Apollo and you wanted the email address and you didn't know, I'm an Apollo noob, I don't know that I'd be able to retrieve the email address from that. Could an agent call another agent if it sees that it doesn't have the tools or connection to complete a task? So do you, as the expert, have to go, well, I know that information could be sourced in Apollo, so I'm going to just ask for it, natural language. I guess it was like, what are the boundaries of your expertise versus the agent's expertise to guide you to where that information could lie? For example, the email address. Kyle, I might be misinterpreting, so please clarify. But yeah,
no, that's a great question. So the way I would view it is this: is our chat that we have here is, functionally speaking, a version of an LLM terminal, but with the ability to use whichever agents you have created to your advantage, that have access to things that otherwise an LLM terminal would not. So when you click, like the initial search that we had here, tell me about Relevance AI. It didn't use any agents because it didn't need to do this. But if I were to say use Apollo agent to find key contacts, Chat is actually designed to not do this unless it totally blows me out of the water here. Yeah, so it's
possible, but not. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So essentially, this is what happens when you start talking about when you just start talking to an LLM terminal. I guess the differentiator here is that you have access to your agents within this context, right?
Yeah, right. Otherwise, it's going to try and find it in an LLM or Google, and it's not going to find an email address. And so I guess the expertise still lies on you being the domain expertise to go, hey, if I'm going to try and dig around for information, I have to know that it exists from somewhere, and I have to have an agent or a tool to be able to get that. And Chat then is just that window for me to be able to call it.
Yes, correct.
Sweet. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let's kind of dig into how to actually develop this agent. And you can actually not have to worry about the API docs. You can really kind of just start somewhere small. I want to show this agent here, this Salesforce assistant agent, because this is a perfect example of what another chat optimized agent looks like. So let's take a look at this agent from a high level. So you're a Salesforce savant. Your job is to help users correctly create and configure triggers, API calls, SOQL queries for Salesforce. And by the end of the exchange, the user should understand what's going on in Salesforce. So for generating a call, right, we're going to take a look kind of now beyond the agent prompt, and we're going to look at some of these tools actually. So for example, let's just see like SOQL query generator, right? Let's just go into this tool. And if any of this edit tool interface is foreign to anyone, let me know. But essentially, tools allow agents to connect externally and to use your data to its advantage. So let's take a look here. This will just use your Salesforce OAuth account, so you don't really need to worry about this. But essentially, we have the name of, oh wait, this is the field retriever. Sorry, that's the wrong tool. If we go into this tool here, the query generator, here we are. Perfect. So when the agent uses this tool, it does so kind of agnostically to any specific process outside of what the user is saying. So I guess a simpler way to say that is this tool is highly responsive to what the user is asking for, which makes it good for chat because the user is exclusively talking with chat, right? So when it runs, describe what you'd like the API call to do. You're essentially providing a description here where the agent will fill in exactly what should happen in this API call. And then it should say, okay, here are the field names that the agent has access to or should have access to. For example, if it's querying from the account level, it should maybe get company description or company domain. And then what this one does is we just add a simple step here that's like generate a SOQL query, right? The premise of this tool is that you're distilling user logic into something that is usable for the next step of your agent. So if we go back to the prompt, we'll see where this kind of lives here. And we will see SOQL query generator. And we'll say if the user needs to retrieve data, help them construct the appropriate query using this, explain the syntax and structure, show them how to include filters and relationships. And then what happens is once that is generated, the agent is comfortable using the API call tester when it needs to. Does that kind of make sense, the relationship between how tools are also configured for chat? Because same thing with the Apollo API, right? That tool is agnostic in the sense that the agent will decide what goes into it. And the more tools that the agent has at its disposal that are dynamic and very lightweight and help it guide its process, the better the agent will perform in chat. All good?
All good. I think I saw Andy typing, but he stopped. So all good there. No questions.
Does anyone have, I'm curious, does anyone have any unique chat use cases that they can kind of ideate a little bit? Or have you seen any interesting kind of uses come up? And while you're typing that, I'll get something else ready.
Andy's question, for agents we have running for customers, can they use it in a way that we limit the chat so clients can use this and trigger agents?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. Can a user, and I'm assuming here that when we're talking about limiting agents, we're limiting the capability of them so that they're more chat oriented. Is that correct?
Or he has added a clarification, as in can only access certain agents. So can you control which agents clients are exposed to?
Yes, you can. Yeah. You can basically set permissions. We have role-based access controls in our platform, so you can set permissions as to which agents can be used by certain individuals or not.
Use case that's interesting to Tim, one that chats with students, so like tutors, like a tutoring kind of agent or a chat.
Yeah, that would be a pretty interesting one. Outside of just research capabilities, I imagine it could also use some very helpful, you know,
test me, check me. Yeah.
Yeah. So that, I mean, we're kind of understanding the premise here of how chat, like if you develop a tool that is capable of pulling a very dynamic request at a user's request, I guess to use that word in the same sentence twice. Yeah, that's how you do it for any type of use case, including like educational resources. You know, it's funny, we actually integrate with Canvas. Little known fact. I don't know why, but if your student needs to check on their assignment in Canvas, that's a pretty...
As in the LMS, the Learning Management System, if anyone's familiar with Canvas.
Yep. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. So let's talk about how we can make a tool that is like super agnostic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin up a new agent. I'm just going to say like, let's get built from scratch. I'm going to say research agent for chat.
Are you starting from scratch because it's easy to show us along, or is it actually easy to start from scratch than clone a more traditional task-based agent and then make it chat-ified?
You know what? That's a good thing that I will do. I will search the market.
I'm just, because one thing is like, I think the takeaway for me is, okay, so chat-based agents should be architected differently to what we would call more traditional autonomous agents. But is that going to take a lot of pull, like a lot of time for Andy, Tim, David, myself? Yeah, should we be starting from scratch, or do we leverage what we already have built and then just clone it, or should we be starting from scratch?
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I would probably clone what you had built already and then go for the rest.
Make it generic and flexible.
Yeah. So let's say like inbound, for example. I mean, I know we have inbound. You know what? Actually, the best use case here for chat is if we kind of deconstruct this agent into chat pieces, right? So let's say you have a BDR team. And again, I'm saying BDR team because a lot of my work revolves around kind of, you know, this kind of use case. Let's say you have a BDR team that you need to deploy an agent to very quickly and at scale. And you want to make sure that nothing happens without their approval first. And you also want to make sure that their process is complete. So if you take a look at this agent here, we have different ways in which we can kind of divvy up the procedures of this agent. So for example, right, returning campaigns based on email, what this probably does is it warrants a separate deep Salesforce dive. So right, in this case, we can probably make /suffice an agent like the Salesforce assistant to accomplish specific Salesforce tasks. So, right, based on what I was showing you before, imagine instead of an agent autonomously grabbing campaign information and then just acting upon it, let's say you want to encourage your reps to use AI and use chat to start working around the capabilities of these lightweight agents so that you can chain them together and have them have more of a involvement in the process if they choose to. So in this case, this step one, actually, this would be a whole agent where we would just kind of plug in the Salesforce assistant and we would be able to tell the Salesforce assistant, hey, we want to do research on, we want to basically do research on specific campaigns in Salesforce and how this pertains to inbound leads, right? The second bit here would be a research agent. So steps 2 through 6, we could also divvy up and we could say, can also become its own agent since all steps are research oriented and the user can prompt /ask for specific kinds of account research that the agent can handle with Google searching. So in the second case, right, we are now, if we go back to this chat view, if we want to do some research, right, we would just say, research intelligence agent. And this is one I made for the sake of another demo, but research intelligence agent, can you do a deep dive into the culture at Relevance, right? So in this case, we now loop in our specific research agent that's capable of doing this very specific thing, as you're aware. Now we see like these specific ones here. So maybe updating Salesforce would kind of fall under the Salesforce assistant. So this is now still Salesforce assistant can handle this. And then extract campaign information. Actually, this is kind of a different version of this tool. So we're just going to say, yeah, this could also be Salesforce too. Handle this and the step below. Now, here's where it gets really fun. So step 10, right? Come up with an email sequence that are personalized to the prospect and follow all the writing guidelines given to you in the variable email instructions. This is obviously a template here, but this itself, creating an email sequence, right? This is totally cause for another agent too. Because essentially what we can do is imagine we have the following. By the time we're ready to write the emails, we have campaign info, we have contact research, account research, and potentially any other instance for which we can write these emails. And maybe maybe we can say to chat, in chat we say like, when this finishes running, right? So we're going to say like, I need to write an email to Roche. We also are running a campaign specifically in Salesforce that targets tech companies and also heads of sales at those tech companies. So follow those guidelines. I'm not going to send this chat because this is a demo of how I would use it in this case, those guidelines. And then you just kind of input them right here, or you can have them stored in the context of this agent here, right? So by the time you're ready to write the email, the agent context, or at least the chat context, has a really good understanding of your task and can execute it really well because it has so much multifaceted support from these lighter scale agents, right? So we have campaign information, contact research, account research, right? And then what we can say is maybe we have a separate agent that handles email deliverability. So this one will schedule and send. Right. So this agent specifically, this new one, would be able to send the agent or be able to send the email and handle everything related to deliverability. So it would be able to handle when the prospect replies back. It would be able to cancel an email sequence when it does so. It would be able to update an opt-out status. It would be able to understand exactly what the prospect is doing and create that thread. So from this inbound use case, you can kind of piece together what a chat version of this would be like. And what I would recommend in this case is if you have a very long form, tightly bound engineered agent, you can essentially start chopping it up into little bits that are then highly reusable and then also reusable for other tasks too. Like for example, if you're doing an outbound agent, you can reuse this part here where you return campaigns based on someone's email. Or you can reuse the research agent here. The only difference actually is primarily in just the messaging, right? So maybe this agent would be different, the one where it wrote the emails.
Can you just hammer this point home? Because Carl's just asked this question, and it's very timely because it's like, okay, you've taken this agent that already had these multiple steps. Why are you now creating multiple agents rather than just using the one agent that has all these prompts already? And I think you said something about the repurposability. That's great. But like, what were the other core reasons, just to remind us?
Yeah, that's a good question. So typically what happens with these agents here is that you input a trigger. Oh, sorry, just one sec. Let me just get back to this. Essentially, you're inputting an agent here, a trigger here that comes from a predetermined set of rules in your Salesforce. So if you're deploying an agent that is org-wide and automated, that is when you want to have it go on autopilot. But if you want to do some reusability, you might want to have your sales team access these kinds of different tools when they need them.
Gotcha. This is awesome. Team, we're getting closer to the end of the session. I'm just wondering if you have any kind of questions. This is the start of your journey in building and the start of our journey in building, rebuilding engineering agents for the chat experience. And it does take some different architecture. I'm excited. Ben's got me motivated to now I want to look at all of my product marketing agents and go, ooh, because I don't interact with them via chat. They're very events-based, or I go into Relevance and I trigger them manually. I'm not yet using them within chat. So I'm feeling motivated for that. As we're getting close to wrapping up, I see, Tim, you've got a question. If you've got some questions, chuck them in. But again, I anticipate questions in community too, as you start your journey of architecting chat native agents. So always ask our team and jump on the channels. Tim, yeah, Tim's still typing. Sorry to interrupt, Ben. Yeah.
No, it's all good. I want to show a really cool component of chat that I guess ties it all together as to why building these kind of agent, architectures and different ways and modes that you can use them, kind of allow you to do like the sum of the agents, or the product of the agents is greater than the sum of its parts, right? That's kind of what the idea is here. We have this new feature called Slide Builder. And I'm sure if you've used chat, you've seen this around. But if you also go to VibeSliding.com, that's VIBE sliding.com, you also have the ability to do this yourself. But let's say like at Slides Generator, I have a meeting with Roche in 2 minutes, and I need slides. I need some slides that are Relevance AI branded that I can show in a meeting with Roche. Incorporate all of this data. So what's going to happen here is actually Slide Builder is a native agent to chat. And it's just going to start thinking about how slides are going to be made.
Oh, I'm feeling lucky. I'm feeling good, Ben. Slides to everyone on the call. It's in beta. I'm a big slide junkie in my former life. You know, I was one of those people just building slides, and lots of love there. So I'm using this feature extensively. Loving it. It does take some time because it is generating. It's generating a deck, right? It's taking all of that information and then it's trying to visualize that. So This is normal. Curious if, I'm assuming some of the people on the call may have tried out different capabilities, different products that may be doing this. We're taking a big chunk of our engineering team and they're developing this capability, the generic slide agent at the moment. So yeah, there's a real pain point here and we really want to solve this at Relevance. Let's see how we go. David's got some questions in chat coming through, or a comment in a moment. Now, again, we don't know what we're going to get. I don't think that Ben's put a brand kit or any guardrails around design. So again, image library. So we're focusing first on the brand kit. So it adhering to certain, again, color palettes, fonts, styles, and absolutely being able to add images, being open to more AI images versus absolutely no other images. So all of those features, David, are coming. But yeah, we're starting first and foremost with a very tight understanding of what a brand kit is. Fonts, voice guardrails, colors, and adhering to those rules. And then trying to sprinkle in some creativity too, and flavor and fun. But with that in mind, whatever, I think something's flashed up.
Yeah, this is another conversation that I did, except I put myself in the mix here. So I'm essentially the deal that they're trying to seek after. But when I asked it about some slides, I was prompting essentially back and forth. I said, where was it here? Can you add some more colors to the slides? Maybe a Relevance branded PNG. And then I take a look here, and it looks like the slides are now made. This is what happens when you make some slides in our platform.
I mean, pretty neat. Pretty neat, given that it was just some conversation and that was without a brand kit. So yeah, like I'm looking at it as a brand person.
Oh, here we are.
Oh, hello. This is nicer. This is okay.
Yeah, definitely took a little bit, but now we see that the slides have been initialized. This is again just an agent that's running its tools, but we're initializing slides, we're editing them. We now have some company snapshots here. Perfect.
Much cleaner. Right? Much cleaner.
Much cleaner.
Oh, thank you. Ben, it's late in the day for you in New York. It's early in the day, not so early. It's the start of my business day, so I'm not complaining. You've been wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing this, because this is like just on top of your day job, and you've really unlocked the power of chat. I think some people think with chat it's chatting with things is easy and effortless. But the power of bringing agents together with a very simple interface will take some work, not just on a relevance end, but like on everyone on the call being agent builders. So thank you so much for just walking us through that in a really truthful, credible way, and getting us energized. Tim just said he's feeling energized, but that might be also his delicious dinner that he's cooking at the same time. To work out how to re-architect some of our agents, and not only just re-architect them for the sake of it, but for us to then be able to repurpose them for our customers, for our clients, or for our teams in our lines of business. This has been incredibly helpful.
And one other tip with the slides here is that you can customize the slides per slide. So for example, if you want to add more visuals, reduce text, you want to do some different formatting here, like all of this is very available for you. This is actually kind of new.
David, I haven't seen the do something crazy. There you go, David. I dare you to do something crazy. Not you, Ben, on the call.
Yeah. I mean, this is quite honestly the first time I've seen these options here. So just know that every time you make an agent and every time you use it in chat, it is subject to get better and better. So.
Thank you. Thanks all for the call. This will be uploaded in the next 48 hours. We've got a session. We always have sessions around this time next week. Stay tuned for that. And again, big thanks to Ben. As you're using and experiencing things, if you run into any troubles, of course, raise a ticket, let our team know, or jump onto community in real time and post the questions. The team, from myself to Ben to the rest of the Relevance team, we're there to support each other. Thank you, and see you next time.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks all.